It was raining the morning we buried my son. Not a gentle drizzle. Hard needles that bounced off the casket tent and turned the cemetery's walkways into a mess. The priest said the right words into a wind that stole half of them. People huddled under umbrellas, hugging as if they could keep the day from getting worse. I stood there, hands in my coat pockets, trying to feel anything except the hollowness in my chest. Oliver was 27, my only kid. The story we'd been handed was simple. Late-night drive, black ice, the car went off the service road. Fire. The medical examiner told us there were remains. Identification had been consistent. That was the word. Consistent. His phone fused into melted plastic near the driver's side. His watch band. The jacket he wore all the time. I signed papers through a fog and then spent 2 weeks answering casseroles. My phone buzzed as the priest lowered his voice for the final prayer. I would have ignored it if I hadn't needed something to hold on to. I slid it out, ready to silence the notification. A number I didn't recognize. Then, before my eyes, the contact name corrected itself. My phone scrubbed the digits against my iCloud contacts and decided who it was. Ollie. I felt the ground tilt. The message was short. I'm alive. Do not trust Sienna. My exhale was loud enough that a couple of heads turned. I stared at the screen until a drip from the canopy hit the back of my neck and brought me back. I typed with numb fingers. If this is real, prove it. The reply came in seconds. When I was 9, I broke the dining chair and blamed the dog. You made me sit with you in the garage to glue it together. You said, we didn't quit on this chair, and we're not quitting on each other. I had never told that story to anyone but him. I didn't hear the rest of the service. I didn't feel hands on my shoulders. After the burial, I told people I felt lightheaded and let my neighbor drive me home. I locked the door, sat on the edge of the couch, and stared at his name on the screen until the letters blurred. Then I typed, "Where are you?" Not safe to say. Burner phone. I'll send a location when it's clear. Don't call me. Don't tell anyone. Especially Sienna. Please, Dad. Sienna. His wife of 2 years. Smart, charming when she needed to be, with a way of steering conversations toward other people's money without seeming to. Oliver had met her at a tech conference. He said she was fearless. She had a laugh that made rooms stop for a second. Lately, though, there had been late nights, vague explanations, and once a bruise on his jaw, he said, came from a pickup game. Oliver didn't play basketball. For a week after the funeral, I lived in a strange loop. Calls from friends, awkward check-ins from Sienna. Do you need anything, Martin? And texts from a son who was supposed to be gone. Ollie sent a blurry selfie. Him, thinner, a beard he'd never wanted before. The left side of his face carrying a healing scar I didn't recognize. He told me not to call, not to forward anything. Assume her phone is always on a table somewhere, he wrote. Assume she reads what she shouldn't. He told me enough to push me over the edge from disbelief to a cold, steady anger. He said Sienna had gotten herself involved in funding pipelines through a digital media company. Money in, money out. Nobody asked too many questions if the stories clicked well. He'd found weird vendor payments when he helped her with taxes. LLCs in Delaware he couldn't tie to real services. He confronted her. She cried, said he didn't understand how startups worked, said everyone moved money to manage taxes. When he kept pressing, little things started happening. Brake line cut on her car. She blamed a neighborhood kid. A near miss with a carbon monoxide leak. Old boiler, she said. The crash was the last thing. He didn't explain how he got out. Said he'd made a plan with a college friend when he realized the pressure wasn't going to stop. He used words like switch, cover, and timing. "I watched the stream," he wrote. "I had to know you were okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of this. I'll explain in person. Just don't let her corner you." People talk in the weeks after a funeral. Sienna's coworker told a cousin, who told a friend, who told me over coffee, that Sienna had increased Oliver's life insurance by $500,000 3 months before the crash. Solid planning for a young couple, she'd called it. Our old family dentist mentioned, in that stumbled way people have when they're trying to be kind with something that isn't, that Oliver had missed his last checkup. "Tough to make matches without current x-rays," he said. He wasn't saying it to be cruel. He was saying it because he knew I knew more than I was letting on. I called an old contact, Luis Ruiz, a sergeant I used to bump into when my brother wore a badge. We met in a diner at the end of a strip mall that had never been renovated. I slid my phone across and let him read the thread. He didn't talk for a full 30 seconds. Then he said, "If this is him, Martin, this is not just foul play. This is attempted murder plus insurance fraud. But we can't move on texts and a bad feeling. If we're going to crack open a death certificate, we need something heavier." I nodded. "He'll reach out again," I said. "When he does, tell me what to ask." That night my phone vibrated on the kitchen counter. A location pin appeared without any text. An old motel off Route 12. The kind of place where the neon sign works only on the nights when the owner needs it to. I drove with my hands at 10 and 2 like a teenager on a driving test. I parked under a light that flickered and made everything worse. At first, I only saw my reflection in the windshield. Then a figure stepped out from between 2 parked trucks, hood up, limping slightly. He stopped 10 feet away and pulled the hood back. It was my kid, older by a decade in a month. Eyes I knew, a scar I didn't. He stepped forward, and we hugged, and it was like gripping someone back from a ledge. I felt the bones under his jacket. "I'm sorry, Dad," he said. His voice was scraped raw. "I had to make her believe I died." "How?" I asked. Not disbelief. Logistics. The engineer part of my brain had snapped on. "Fire took care of the hard parts," he said. "I swapped cars with Ethan for the night." "Ethan?" I asked. "Sienna's brother," he said. "You've met him twice. He owes money to everyone. He didn't ask many questions as long as he got his cut." We staged the scene on the service road by the quarry, left my phone and watch in the car, triggered the fire with a relay. The body wasn't me. I closed my eyes. "Whose?" He shook his head. "I didn't ask. I didn't touch it. I wasn't there for that part. That piece is on the people she runs with. We need to be careful with that, Dad," he swallowed. I barely got clear before the ignition. The left side, he touched his scar. "That's mine." We sat in the car with the heater on low and watched rain drill the windshield. He told me Sienna's media work was a front. Ads and clicks covered a stream of money. Crypto conversions, shell vendors, content partnerships that were invoices for nothing. When Oliver found payments flowing through Elysian Storyworks LLC to a consulting firm with no staff and a mailbox in Vegas, he didn't let it go. He told her he was going to report it. That's when the bad luck started. He didn't need me to connect the dots. He had already drawn the lines. "We need 2 things," I said. "Evidence and a way to get it into the hands that won't blow the case." Ruiz is solid. He won't touch it unless it's clean. I have help, Oliver said. Priya Patel. We did a robotics project together in college. She runs a small cybersecurity shop now. I showed her what I found before the crash. She stayed with it after. She can map the public stuff, corporate filings, open ledgers. But for everything else, we have to do it the right way. Priya can tell Ruiz where to point subpoenas. That's it. And Ethan? I asked. He set you up for this and now we trust him? He's not clean, Oliver said, but he's scared. He didn't know about the insurance. He didn't know how far she'd go. He called me yesterday from a throwaway and said he wants out. If anyone can put a wire on him without it blowing back, it's Ruiz. I'm not a cop. I'm a building inspector who sees when a joist is a little too weak and knows to ask more questions. But sitting there, watching my kid's hands shake when he tried to hold the coffee cup, I felt the same nasty, clean focus I get when I know a contractor is hiding something inside a wall. You don't start pulling sheetrock without permits. You don't hack phones and call it justice. You do it the slow, boring way so it holds when you're done. Ruiz didn't make us wait. He set up a meet in the back lot of a grocery store where the loading dock lights stayed on all night. He listened to Oliver, asked pointed questions, then said, I'll go to the DA. If this is going to be an undercover, I want it on paper. If this touches federal money or crypto, I'll loop in the task force. You two don't contact Ethan directly again. I'll do it. From there, time got weird. Days stretched with no news, then everything sped up at once. Ruiz called to say the DA had authorized a wire if Ethan consented. Priya sent a spreadsheet that made me sit down. LLCs stacked inside LLCs, all pointing back to 3 people. Sienna, a man named March who ran the media company, and a private lender with one of those names you only hear whispered. Subpoenas went out. The first bank responded. The balances in Elysian Storyworks had been ballooning and draining on a 30-day cycle in amounts that coincided, roughly, with ad campaigns that never ran. Money went to Ridge Harbor Development on the Gulf Coast, then came back as licensing fees. Some of it bled to Ethan, some to Sienna. A chunk went to an account in Oliver's name that he had never heard of. Identity piggyback, Priya said over a secure call. They open a shadow account and move money like it's yours. When it looks like you've been paid, they can explain you have an income consistent with whatever story they need. Where does this end? I asked. In a place with pallets and forklifts, Priya said. People who move money this way, like the noise of a warehouse. It's loud, it's private, and it looks normal if anyone drives by. Ethan took the wire. Ruiz prepped him in a room with a table and a taped line on the floor, where he had to stand so the mic didn't scrape his shirt. Ethan looked sick. He had that twitchy look men get when they're not used to choosing the right thing. Ruiz told him twice, "You can walk. You don't owe anyone anything. If you go, go." Now Ethan didn't walk. The meet was set for a Tuesday night at a storage facility near the river. Not down by the docks, upstream, where the buildings look legitimate and a gate code buys you privacy. According to Ethan, Sienna would hand off a drive with the latest content contracts and get cash she could route through the LLCs the next morning, then file a posthumous benefits claim connected to Oliver's death. The timing made me dizzy. My son declared legally dead on one piece of paper and used as a living conduit on another. "Martin," Ruiz said, "you don't come. You don't float in your truck outside and pretend you're not involved. You go home. You answer your phone if I call. That's your job," I agreed. For once, I wanted someone else to carry the weight. I didn't go to the river. I sat on my couch, hands flat on my knees, and waited. My phone vibrated at 9:23 p.m. Priya's message. Live link ready. Ruiz okayed it. The feed was 4 boxes, grainy black and white from interior cameras the storage facility used to placate insurance, and 1 body cam angle from Ethan's chest that bounced every time he breathed. Sienna walked into frame like she owned the corridor. No drama. Dark jacket, hair pulled back. She greeted the man with her by name and called him March. They traded small talk the way people do when they've done this enough to be bored by it. Ethan played his role as the guy who kept watch near the door. Then Sienna said the thing that made my hands turn into fists in my lap. "It's fine," she told March. "Everything is buttoned up. He's gone. The ME signed off. The payout is already in motion. By the time anyone questions it, your people will be on a different coast." Ethan asked, like an idiot doing his job, "You sure about the payout?" She gave him a look. "Ethan, grow up. Of course I am. Do you think I waited 2 years to get to this point and left a form blank?" Ruiz's voice came over a channel I couldn't hear. On the screen, 3 black shapes moved into the frame, fast and hard. "Police!" Hands visible. The feed shook. Sienna froze because she's smart, and then lifted her hands. March did the math wrong and reached for the back of his waistband. He ended up face down, hands zip-tied behind him, with a knee on his shoulder blade. I didn't breathe for a full count of 8. Then I realized I'd been holding my breath the whole time. It didn't end there. Things don't end with a dramatic arrest and an apology. They end with months in offices where the air is always a little too cold. They end with forms. They end with a judge signing an order to vacate a death certificate because the person it supposedly belonged to walked in and set his license on the table. They end with a claims adjuster for an insurance company calling me to say, "Mr. Hale, we'll be recovering the payout that was initiated. Thank you for your cooperation," as if we'd helped them do something kind. Sienna's attorney tried to say she'd been duped by March, that she was a victim of a sophisticated scheme. Ethan's wire hurt that story. So did the accounts. So did a search warrant that Priya helped point toward the right cloud folder, after the subpoena landed, not before, where there were emails in Sienna's own words linking campaign gross to client disbursements that had nothing to do with content. The medical examiner amended the file on the crash. The remains in the car didn't match Oliver's dental records. The match had been assumed in the field because of the fused phone and the watch band and the jacket, and because the fire made everyone feel like asking more questions would be cruel. That's how bad calls get made. Someone leans on the human urge to move pain along. Oliver didn't come back from the dead with a parade. He moved into a short-term apartment under his own name after the paperwork was fixed. He couldn't sleep without the desk lamp on for a while. He didn't drive for 3 months. He didn't say Sienna's name. He met with a therapist who didn't ask him to take deep breaths and picture a beach. The therapist asked him to write down the things he could control and keep folding the paper until it fit in his pocket. Sienna took a plea. She pled to fraud and attempted murder. March flipped faster than you'd think. Ethan got a deal that didn't make anyone happy but made sense. He wore the wire. He helped catch bigger people than himself. He'll carry that for the rest of his life. There was a day in early spring when the weather shifted in a way you can feel in your knees. Oliver came over with groceries and made grilled cheese like he was 12. He asked if I still had the glue-stained chair from the garage. I did. We sat in it in turns and laughed when it creaked. "Dad," he said, eyes on the pan, "I kept thinking about what you said in the garage that day. We didn't quit on this chair, I nodded. We didn't quit on you. He teaches robotics now at the community college. The students call him Mr. H or Coach, depending on the day. He bikes to work on a road with wide shoulders. He texts me at weird hours when he thinks of a joke that only I will get. When it rains hard and the left side of his face throbs, he sits at my kitchen table with a heat pack, and we talk about dumb things until the pain settles. As for me, I learned the difference between grief and shock. Grief is honest. It sits beside you and doesn't try to sell you anything. Shock is a salesman. It will sign anything you put in front of it. I also learned that if something feels off, you're not paranoid. You're paying attention. People ask me sometimes, quietly, like they're afraid the story will fall apart if they say it too loud, how I knew to trust a text that said it was from my dead son. I didn't. I knew to trust the part of me that said, ask a better question. Don't ask, is this possible? Ask, what would this look like if it were true? Then go find the boards that don't sound right when you tap them. A few weeks after everything settled, Ruiz and I had a coffee on the same diner stools. He looked tired. He always looks tired. You did good, he said. You did your job, I said. He smirked. That too. I asked him how many cases fall apart in his hands because somebody can't sit with the boring parts. Most of them, he said. People want the chase and the confession. They don't want the spreadsheet that proves the timing. We finished our coffee and went outside where the sun felt like it might actually warm something. I don't have a clean verse to end on. I have a chair that creaks when you sit in it, because a 9-year-old and his dad didn't get the glue quite right. I have a son who breathes. I have a phone that buzzes at odd hours with stupid memes and repair questions about leaky faucets. I have a memory of rain hitting canvas, a name changing on a screen, and a heartbeat that remembered how to be loud. If there's a lesson, it's this. Love your people in the open, question what doesn't line up, and if the world hands you a story that feels too neat, get out your tools and take a look underneath.